Hello students. So today we are going to talk about a topic that is poultry farming. So here we are going to talk about this particular method of farming where we actually involves or what you can say domesticate the certain kind of animals which are like fowl, also known as chicken, ducks, geese, turkey, guinea fowl, and some varieties of pigeon for their meat and also the egg. Particularly we utilize the chicken a lot for this purpose and also the turkey for like meat and egg purposes. Now if you talk about the India, it has become the fifth largest country in the world in terms of poultry production because of its what you can say population as well. The requirement is very high, and that is why we have become the fifth largest country. Then if I talk about the poultry industry, the reason is that we have so much of big poultry industry around the world is because it is a cheap source of animal protein. Like even if you consume the meat or even if you consume the egg, in both the cases you will get the good quality protein, which is also like getting the protein in a cheaper source as well. Then the specialized meat producing poultry birds are called broilers, while egg laying poultry birds are called layers. So there are two different ways which we actually farm them, one for the meat production and one for the egg production. So once like those who are involved in a meat production are broilers, and those who are involved in egg production are called layers. We will discuss about them further as well, what are the exact difference here. But let us talk about the poultry breeds that we have around the world. So like if I talk about the indigenous or a desi breeds that we have in India, which is Asil, Chhattisgarh, Chittagong, Cochin, Karaknath and Busra. These you will find in India. Whereas if you talk about exotic breeds, you will find in the foreign land, which is Australorp, White Leghorn, Rhode Island Red, Black Minorca, Light Sussex, and Barrett Plymouth. And right now we are utilizing a lot of cross breeds as well by crossing between the indigenous and the exotic breeds. So the example of them are like ILS 82, HH 260, and B77. These are like selecting a best categories of the breeds from both indigenous and exotic. Let them crops your crop or let them cross, I'm sorry, so that your cross will produce the high yielding hybrid breeds. Now what is the improvement in terms of variety if I talk about the poultry? So there are a lot of desirable traits which we can actually utilize when we do the crossbreeding between the indigenous and the exotic breed. And what are the traits? The obtained chicks that we are getting are of better quality and more in number. Okay. Now in terms of better quality means better quality of protein, better quality of meat you will get. The developed breeds with low maintenance requirement. Again, the maintenance is also a very important factor in terms of poultry farming. So you need not to put a lot of efforts in order to take care of them. You can also develop dwarf broiler parents for commercial chick production as well. The dwarf broiler parents is like you don't need to put so much of investment in terms of making them so big. It's just you utilize the parents to get good commercial chick, and you just keep on utilizing the parents until you are able to, and then again you will again get more dwarf broiler parents. So the reason of utilizing dwarf broiler parents is their requirements are less as well because they are dwarf. Now, if I talk about a small size, like sometimes there is a requirement of uh, uh, the size of an egg as well. Size of an egg means it should be bigger. It should have a certain kind of a nutrition value. So, in terms of that, we can say to develop a small size egg-laying birds without reduction in the size of the eggs. That means you might change their environmental habitats. It does not affect the size of the eggs that they are gonna lay. It will also allow the improvement of varieties which have the high tolerance to environment, which is like summer adaptation and capacity. In like this is particularly for the birds or the poultry farming where light is playing a very important role for the egg production because that will decide the breeding season, which is a very important factor when it comes to the bird because only the breeding season you will find the eggs. And the last point is to develop breeds which can actually utilize cheap fibrous diet. Again, diet is also a very important factor when you are farming the poultry because the good diet you are giving to them, the good quality of meat you are getting. So that is why utilizing a cheap fiber diet is also a cost effective measure. Now if I particularly talk about the layers and the broilers, as I told you, we need to discuss what exactly is the difference. So here if I say that layers are actually the ones which are involved in a egg production in terms of the important aspect of poultry. The main feed that is given to them is rich in protein, minerals, and macronutrients, which actually take care of their nutritional need and also help in the good production of good quality of eggs. They start laying at the age of 5 months, because that is the time they are actually able to lay the eggs. And the average egg production period in the commercial layer is about 500 days. Like, for it's not a continuous 500 days, but like in between the 500 days you will get a lot of egg production. Now, if I talk about the broilers, they are quick growing and they are involved for the meat production, as you know. And they raise just for 6 to 8 weeks, which is like around 1 to 2 months, like 2 to 3 months, you can say, not more than that. Because for egg production, you have to wait for 7 months. Here, you need not to wait for 7 months. Just within a 2 months, you will get your broiler. They attain the weight of 700 gram to 1.5 kg, which is like a very average weight that you will get. And they need a food or feed which is rich in vitamin A and K. And also there are other important requirements as well, which actually affect the quality of a meat that you are getting. Now, if I say the exact difference between the two, so as I said, broilers are to obtain meat and layers are like sexually mature hens raised to lay eggs. Very important is the time period. So broilers are the young chickens of 6 to 10 weeks, whereas the layer hens are basically the eggs that are commercially for from 18 to 19 weeks, which is about 5 months. Broilers, they grow very fast and used as meat, which is of like good quality and good taste, and their nutritional requirement is obviously different, as we have discussed above. Like, layers require more food which is rich in vitamins, minerals, and nutrients, whereas broilers required food which have more adequate amount of protein and also vitamins. Both require a proper care, but for particularly layer, as I told you, because it requires a breeding season, so you need to provide enough space and adequate light, which can actually tells them that okay, this is the time they can actually lay the eggs. And light intensity has a favorable effect on laying output of hens. Now, if I talk about the diet, as I already told you, broilers are given protein-rich food with adequate amounts of fat and vitamin. Whereas if you talk about the layers, they are comparatively poor quality of feed. Because again, the whole point of utilizing them is just for the production of meat, and this is for broilers, and for layers is just for the production of eggs. The temperature regulation is not required, but they are given plenty of light, which is particularly in terms of broilers, because broilers are not involved in terms of what you can say uh, egg production. So that is why you need not to take care of the light, but they should be given light enough so that they can actually adapt to the environment well, and they should be able to have a certain kind of rhythm in a proper manner. So this is like how you can understand the difference between what you can say broilers and the layers. Now, if I talk about the housing and shelter for poultry, so there are certain ways you have to take care of their management. So the shelter should be clean, dry, and well illuminated and well ventilated. You have to have enough space for movement and the egg laying as well. Okay, you will find different ages like growers, egg layers, brooding birds, and broilers. So they should be housed separately in the shelter so that they don't get mixed with each other. And your housing should be rat proof, and like poultry birds should be protected from the predators like the cats and dogs. Otherwise they will damage your crop, or they will damage your animals, I can say here. And the temperature will always be kept between the 34 to 38 degrees Celsius. And if I talk about the feed, you we have already discussed about the feed, but still in general we can give them mashed cereals like bajra, wheat, maize, and groundnut cake. We can also give them fish meal as well, which is like comes under the packaged poultry feed, and meat meal, which is like a good source of protein. And also we can give them vitamin rich supplements like vitamin A and vitamin K, which act as a nutritious food for them. So this is how you can actually utilize the poultry farming in a day-to-day manner. I hope this will help you. Thank you.